The story of the pyramids has long been told in a single way. It was a story of sweat, muscle, and immense human labor. We imagined countless workers. They dragged massive stone blocks up long, winding ramps. This was the only way we thought it could be done. But science is a story that is always being written. It asks new questions. It looks for new evidence. And sometimes a single discovery can change everything we thought we knew. It can show us a hidden chapter in the human saga, a moment of brilliance lost to time. This moment has arrived. In the sands of Saqqara, near the oldest pyramid of them all, a new truth has been unearthed. A team of scientists and archaeologists looked closer. They did not just see stones and sand, they saw the ghost of a machine. They found evidence of a technology so advanced it challenges our view of the ancient world. It suggests the Egyptians were not just master builders. They were brilliant engineers. They were scientists who understood the fundamental forces of nature. They had learned to command the water itself to build their monuments to eternity. This discovery was not made with a simple shovel. It was made with the tools of modern science. Archaeologists worked with hydrologists and geologists. They studied the landscape. They analyzed the rock formations. They pieced together clues that were hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. What they found was not a tale of brute force. It was a story of elegant solutions and profound understanding. It tells us that the first great stone pyramid, the Step Pyramid of Djoser, was born from a marriage of human will and scientific insight. A new chapter has begun. The implications are breathtaking. They ripple through our understanding of human history. For too long, we have pictured our ancestors as primitive. We saw their achievements as products of sheer numbers and endless toil. But this find at Saqqara paints a different picture. It shows a civilization that could innovate and solve complex problems with grace. It reveals a level of scientific thought we once believed was impossible for that era. The pyramids were not just tombs. They were scientific experiments. They were proof that our capacity for wonder and invention is as old as our species. Imagine the Nile River. Every year it would swell with powerful floodwaters. This was the lifeblood of Egypt, bringing fertile silt for the farms. But for the builders at Saqqara, it was also a source of power. They saw this seasonal flood not as a challenge, but as an opportunity. They decided to capture this immense energy. To do this, they built something extraordinary. It was a massive stone structure, nearly 1,200 feet long. For centuries, we thought it was just a wall. We were wrong. It was a dam, a masterpiece of ancient water management. This dam, known as Geyser El Mudir, was a work of genius. It was perfectly placed to catch the rushing waters from the nearby hills, or wadis. When the floods came, the dam would hold the water back. It created a huge, temporary lake right next to the construction site. This reservoir could hold over 100 million gallons of water. It turned a dry desert plateau into a waterfront property. The Egyptians had created a tool from the landscape itself. They transformed a yearly flood into a reliable, powerful engine for their grandest project. The water in this reservoir was not perfectly clean. It was filled with mud and silt from the flood. This gritty water would damage machinery. So the Egyptians engineered a solution. They carved a great trench into the rock, south of the pyramid. We used to call this the dry moat. Now we know it was part of a brilliant water treatment system. The muddy water would flow into this trench. There, the heavy silt and sand would settle to the bottom. This left cleaner water on top, ready to be used for the delicate work of lifting stone. This system demonstrates a deep understanding of hydrology. The ancient engineers knew how to control water pressure. They knew how to manage flow. They knew how to purify their water source. These are the same principles that modern engineers use today. The builders of the first pyramid were not just piling stones. They were designing and operating a complex industrial site. They harnessed the cycles of the planet to achieve their goals. The dam and its reservoir were the heart of their incredible machine. It was the power source for a revolution in construction. So the Egyptians had a massive reservoir of clean water. But how did they use it to build a pyramid? The old theory involved ramps. A long, sloping ramp would be built against the pyramid. Workers would then have to haul the heavy stone blocks up this incline. This would have required a tremendous amount of wood for the ramp and an even greater amount of human energy. It was a brutal, inefficient, and dangerous method. The new discovery at Saqqara reveals a much smarter solution. It was a solution powered by water. It was a hydraulic elevator. The evidence points to an incredible machine. Archaeologists found two deep vertical shafts dug into the earth. These shafts were connected at the bottom by a long underground tunnel. This was not a tomb or a passageway. It was the core of a hydraulic lift. A giant, watertight wooden platform would sit inside one of the shafts, floating on the water. The massive stone block, weighing many tons, would be loaded onto this platform at ground level. The system was now ready to do its work. It was ready to defy gravity. The process was beautifully simple and incredibly effective. Workers would open a gate, or sluice, from the main reservoir. Water would rush into the underground tunnel and push up into the shaft. As the shaft filled with water, the floating platform would begin to rise, lifting the multi-ton stone block with it. The water did most of the work. It canceled out much of the stone's immense weight. Workers on the surface would only need to guide the block. When it reached the desired height, they could slide it off the platform and onto the next level of the pyramid. This method was far superior to ramps. It was faster, safer, and required far fewer people. It also solved the problem of building higher and higher. A ramp would need to get longer and steeper as the pyramid grew, making the work harder. The water elevator worked just as well at the top as it did at the bottom. This discovery means the Egyptians were not just strong, they were clever. They used their minds to overcome physical limits. They used the laws of physics to lift mountains of stone toward the heavens. It was a triumph of intellect over brute force. This incredible hydraulic technology did not appear out of nowhere. It grew from a long tradition of water engineering in ancient Egypt. The civilization itself was a gift of the Nile. For thousands of years, the Egyptians had learned to manage the river. They built intricate networks of irrigation canals to water their crops. They constructed dikes and small dams to protect their towns from floods. They invented wooden sluice gates to precisely control the flow of water. Their entire society was built on a deep, practical knowledge of hydraulics. The water-powered pyramid builder was the ultimate expression of this knowledge. It took the skills learned in the farm fields and applied them to the greatest engineering challenge of the age. This shows us that Egyptian technology was not static. It was dynamic and adaptable. The engineers who designed the pyramid's elevator were standing on the shoulders of generations of farmers and canal builders. They were part of a continuum of scientific progress. This discovery invites us to look for more evidence of their genius, perhaps hidden at other ancient sites. This new understanding changes our perception of the past. It elevates the ancient Egyptians from simple laborers to pioneering scientists. They were people like us. They were curious. They observed their world. They experimented. They used reason and ingenuity to solve the problems they faced. The pyramid is not just a monument of faith, it is a monument to the power of the human mind. It reminds us that the scientific endeavor is a timeless and universal part of our story. It connects us directly to our most brilliant ancestors. And so, we are left with a profound lesson. The universe does not give up its secrets easily. They lie hidden in the rock, in the sand, and in the starlight. To find them, we must be curious. We must be persistent. We must use the tools of science to look at the world with new eyes. The story of the pyramids is a story of human potential. It teaches us that with science, we can uncover the most amazing truths about our past. And by understanding our past, we can better imagine what we might achieve in the future. The cosmos awaits.